Hello, this is Jam Master Daniel 96, and in today's video, I'll be reviewing Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 6, Deal, No Deal, and let's begin. Well, Deal, No Deal is the 6th episode in the 7th season, and it is the 2nd episode of the Ahsoka Walkabouts arc. It starts off where Ahsoka and Trace are fixing the ship. So, they're working on it. Then Trace tells Ahsoka about her skills. Then Ahsoka says her academy was called Skywalker. So, trying to hide more of her Jedi past and then saying how she was more of a mechanic. So, then saying her academy is called Skywalker. And then kind of, her master is Anakin Skywalker. So, trying, as I said, trying to hide that Jedi past to Trace. And Trace says she was never going to attend one and how she'd ever heard of an academy called Skywalker. And then Trace tells Ahsoka about her life after her parents split. And then Trace calls the ship the Silver Angel. Then Ahsoka laughs a bit and then says how she never heard of a name like that. And then Trace questions her, what bit when she laughed. And then that's kind of Ahsoka's response, how she never, heard of a name like that. And then Ahsoka asks what kind of I have a name for her bike, and then Trace calls it Trash. And then Trace asks Ahsoka where she's going after her bike is done, and Ahsoka's not sure. Then they talk about testing the Silver Angel. Then Ahsoka says if Rafa doesn't mind, then Rafa comes along and says, ask if she doesn't mind what, and then they pretty much talk about the ship, and then Trace and Rafa go on the ship. Then Ahsoka gets to go, and then Rafa questions Ahsoka what she's after and stuff, and then Rafa tells Trace to rethink the name Silver Angel while they're getting ready to take off. Then as they're traveling, Ahsoka tells Trace not to be in the military lane, how it's a restricted area. Then they're getting an incoming call, and Ahsoka tells Trace not to answer the call. Then Trace answers the call. The call is from Admiral Yularen. Then Admiral Yularen tells Trace that she's in a military lane. Then Rafa tells him that she's teaching her sister how to fly. Then Ahsoka turns off the call. Then Anakin asks Yularen who's on the transport. Then Yularen says rookie pilots. Then we see Anakin closes his eyes. Then he senses Ahsoka. Then Yularen asks about sending the detachment. Then Anakin says no, it's nothing. Then they leave Coruscant and go into hyperspace. And then they're traveling in hyperspace. Then they travel to Kessel. Then Ahsoka questions Rafa why they're going to Kessel. And then they land on the planet. And then they're greeted by a Twi'lek guy who works for the king. Then ask for Rafa, and then they head to the banquet. Then Rafa asks when's the king showing, and then the Twi'lek guy does pretty much all his work. Trace tells him she has one of the fastest ships, and Ahsoka asks what kind of medicine they're transferring. The Twi'lek says unrefined spice. He also says about their contract. Then Trace is excited to be working for a king. Then Ahsoka says, that not all spice is good. Then he explains how the medicine helps people. Then they head back to the ship. Then Ahsoka explains how running spice is dangerous. Rafa makes her point and says they were hired for a reason. Then Ahsoka tells Trace how she could see, why Rafa didn't hire her in the first place and how running spice is too dangerous. Then they go to the mining zone. Then Trace says, look at all those droids, and Ahsoka tells her they're people. And then they go collect their spice. Then Rafa tells Trace that she's not sure if she likes Ahsoka. And then Trace tells Rafa how she doesn't like any of her friends. And then after they pick up the spice, they travel to the planet Obadiah, and then Ahsoka questions why they're going to see the Pikes. Then Ahsoka explains how bad they are, and how you can't make a deal with them, and then Rafa asks Ahsoka on how she knows so much, because that's the thing where she's wondering how she knows a lot of things. Then Ahsoka says she pays attention to the world around her. Then she tells him how the Pikes are gangsters and how they could take your ship and all that. Then Trace is, kind of worried how she doesn't want anyone touching her ship. And then Trace asks Rafa what they'll do to her ship, kind of, in a spite out of worry. And then Rafa tells Trace she didn't want her for the job. Then Ahsoka says to give the spice to someone else. Then Trace dumps the spice. Then Ahsoka and Rafa aren't happy, because they would be screwed when the Pikes find out. Then Trace and Rafa have an argument. Then Ahsoka asks them about their plan. Then Ahsoka says she has a trick they don't know about and she doesn't want to give it away yet. Then they meet up with the Pikes leader and says he heard they had no problem. Rafa says not at all. The Pikes leader wants to take a look. And then Rafa asks if he doesn't trust her. Then we see Ahsoka do a Jedi mind trick on the Pikes leader. He gives Rafa the credits. And then they give the Pikes the crates. Then the Pikes find out there's nothing in them. Then they're getting ready to leave. Then the patrol ships come. And then they get caught in the tractor beam. And then Rafa points at, Ahsoka says, I'm going to blame you if she gets interrogated. Then Trace says there's more to blame for it. And that's pretty much the episode. And my thoughts on this episode, I thought it was a fun episode. It was pretty much, I liked the bit where Anakin, was able to sense Ahsoka, and then how Ahsoka kind of felt it as well. So I liked how there was that thing there, and then seeing Admiral Yularen there as well for that brief moment. And then, it was good to see the Pikes again, and then we get to see a forward seaside bit of Kessel, then the mining. So it was kind of cool to see two bits of Kessel on the planet there. And that's pretty much all I got to say with this episode. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think down below. And I'll catch you guys next time with another video. Bye.